This episode of The Boys is kind of a strange one. On one hand, it does feel like a filler episode, but on the other hand, I believe this episode sets up so much foreshadowing for the end of the season along with the face of certain characters, and I'll explain why later in the video. Now in this episode, both teams, Vault and the Boys, are still hunting for any signs of V1. The Boys find out that V1 is possibly located in this old abandoned facility, and Vault does as well. Now on the Boys side of thing, while they're at this facility, they kind of start acting strange towards each other. Like everybody's really passive aggressive and mean towards each other, and people are telling Kimiko to shut up and everything. Like it's getting that bad. Ironically, Frenchie is the only normal person in this situation, even though he will usually be crazy too in this type of thing. Now during their search for V1, they realize that it's not there and that someone else took it a long time ago, but this someone is someone who used to work with Soulja Boy back in the day. So why he would need V1, we have no idea yet. But we also find out what's causing everybody to be so mad at each other, so violent towards each other. And it's basically this super plant with this weird fungus that if you breathe in the spores, it causes your inner demons to come out, causes your evil side to take over your personality. Now Frenchie is the only one that's not affected by this because he's a drug addict, and basically the plant spores took all of that out of him. So he's basically sobered up for the first time in the whole series. Now on Vault's side of things, Homelander does go to the same place as the Boys in order to find the V1 for himself. But before Homelander leaves, we see a conversation with Soulja Boy and Sister Sage. And you know, right off the bat, Soulja Boy disrespects her because she's a black woman, and Sister Sage kind of instantly locks in here and manipulates Soulja Boy into going on this mission with Homelander. Not for father and son bonding time, but because there's something else that she knows about this place that Homelander or Soulja Boy doesn't. And it's possible that she knows about this mind-controlling plant that makes you go crazy. She gives Soulja Boy the narrative of what better person to send on this mission with Homelander than you because you know the place better than anyone. But I believe that her own motive is that she kind of wants to see what happens if they both go crazy on each other, on what will they kill each other or not type of thing. And this is kind of part of her revenge against Homelander and Soulja Boy, because she's the smartest person in the world, as we've been told and shown, and there's no way she's just letting Homelander do all this stuff that he's been doing lately without her thinking of some type of backup plan. Because we also see this with her in Gen V Season 2, where she was kind of in a loving relationship with Godolkin, but once she realized that he was losing his mind, that's when she instantly locked in and manipulated some events that were in her favor, which eventually caused the demise of Godolkin himself. So she's kind of doing the same thing here with sending Soulja Boy with Homelander to go to this facility. Also on the side, the place that Annie went to, that she flew off and left Huey in the last episode, she actually just went to go visit her dad. She had to track him down because her dad basically left her when she was a kid, so she just wants closure now. And this arc is just basically just to remind Annie that nothing's her fault, because this whole season so far she's been putting all this burden on herself because people are dying because of her cause. But her dad is just there to remind her that you're not a bad person, no one's death is your fault, keep doing what you're doing, the truth will come out someday, all that stuff. Now, did that arc or side story drag along a little bit? It did, yeah. But it was necessary for Annie to develop before the end of the season. Now, hopefully going forward with the rest of Season 5, Annie will stop feeling sorry for herself and for everybody else and just straight up lock in. Now with Homelander and Soulja Boy being at the same place as his mind-controlling plant, we also get to see some banter between father and son here. And the interesting thing about this banter is that, yes, Soulja Boy is telling him how he truly feels, but this was never anything that was hidden. He's openly expressed how much he hates Homelander, really, not to just him but to everybody else too. But this is good because we get to see Homelander finally kind of standing up for himself against his father, because he's just been kind of taking crap from everybody this season. And while Homelander is also saying this stuff to his father, finally standing up for himself, This plant is pushing his mind further into the godhood epiphany that he had in the previous episode, where, you know, no one could stop him, no one could stand up to him, and all that stuff. And the first steps to achieving that mindset is to standing up to the people who look down on you, such as your father named Soldier Boy. And eventually this results in Soldier Boy locking Homelander in a cell full of radiation and basically just trying to leave him there to die. Now while that's happening, the boys themselves eventually get into a fight because everybody's instigating each other on their deepest, darkest feelings about each other, and it drives everyone to the point where they actually want to kill each other. And as their fight starts, they all get split up within the facility. And with everybody being scattered, we get a scene with Butcher meeting up with Homelander while he's in that radioactive cell, basically teasing him, saying that he's worth nothing and that he's gonna die, same thing everybody else has been telling him this season. And this is where Homelander is truly about to snap mentally, because not only was he just betrayed by his father, like he betrayed his father a few episodes ago, but now his biggest enemy is teasing him, and this is just further pushing his mind. While the plant is doing this too, this is just further pushing his mind into his godhood, essentially. Because even though Homelander is very vulnerable in this cage, this is the most bravest his mind has ever been. So he's basically crashing out at Butcher, telling him, it's my destiny to rule over you, and I'm gonna kill all of you eventually, and all of that good stuff. And eventually Frenchie saves the day because he lures Soldier Boy to destroy the source of the plant, and that source of the plant ends up being one of his old comrades from back in the day. And he basically just rage baits Soldier Boy into destroying the plant, and once the plant is destroyed, everybody's minds are back to normal. And they all go their separate ways because again, the V1 is not there. And of course Homelander escapes the radioactive cell. And again, this is the breaking point for Homelander because one, Soldier Boy just betrayed him, and two, we also see that Firecracker might betray him too someday, because in the beginning of the episode she's showing signs of that she knows Homelander is slowly but surely losing his mind, and it's also affecting her mental health as well. You could just see it in her face. But the reason it'll hurt from Firecracker is because she's been kind of like a mother to him, and Soldier Boy is obviously his father. So having his mother and father, basically his parents of the seven, betray him is really going to push him over the edge, if Homelander hasn't been pushed over the edge already. Now, even though this episode might feel like filler, it's really not. It actually sets up possibly the ending of The Boys itself, and here's why. So big spoiler alert for the comic if you haven't read it yet, and possibly the show too, if you only watch the show. So in the comic, after they take care of Vought and Homelander and everything, Butcher doesn't stop his thirst for revenge there. He actually still wants to kill every single person with Compound V in their system in the whole world. And he knows that the boys will stop him from doing this because this will end up in him killing innocent people along the way. So to prevent this, Butcher decides to go on a killing spree, which includes his teammates that he's been with this whole time. Now, I say this episode foreshadows that because here, when everybody's being angry at each other and coming at each other, we get to see how everybody truly feels about each other. Although they've been working together, there's been some dark secrets hidden amongst the group, right? There's always been some tension, but they put that to the side because they realized that they needed each other to face a bigger threat, which is Homelander involved. So you could kind of think of this as the boys team having one final vent about their feelings, about how they feel about each other, kind of like a any last words before you die situation. And I do think that the rest of the team besides Huey and Annie might die because one of the episodes of the seasons are titled after their name. In any piece of fiction, if an episode is titled after a character's name, that character is most likely going to die. Overall, I give episode 4 a 7 out of 10. It's not the best episode, but it still holds a lot of impact and really sets up a lot of foreshadowing for the future of this season and the fate of some characters. We also get to see how everybody truly felt about each other, everybody being brave and saying things they've been holding back since season 1. So this is one of the few times in fiction where a filler episode actually sets up a lot for the true canon, but a lot of people just don't see it that way just yet. Also, side note, I noticed that Amazon recently announced that they're doing a movie of another comic called Crossed, which is created by the same person who created the Boys comic. And the premise of that comic is basically, imagine Walking Dead, but instead of turning into a zombie if you get infected, your truer, darker self comes out and takes over your whole personality. So you're still human, you're just much more evil. And this is basically the same thing that happened to the boys in this episode. That plant brought out their true evil sides. So I just think it's funny, and it might be a reference to that, given the timing of that announcement for that movie and the timing that this episode aired. So you could think of episode 4 of season 5 of The Boys as kind of like a audience screen testing for the Cross movie or TV show that they'll do eventually. So that's going to be about it for this review of episode 4 of season 5. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And be sure to hit that like and subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can get alerted when I make more videos. And until then, I'll see you on the next one.